Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we are taking a deep dive into a stock that has been on an absolutely wild ride, NUAI. We're going to break down the anatomy of this market frenzy piece by piece. If you enjoy this kind of technical breakdown and want to see more, please do me a huge favor. Hit that like button and drop a comment below. It really helps the channel out. All right, let's get into it. So, here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to look at NUAI's just incredible, almost unbelievable climb. Then we'll put on our detective hats and decode what all the technical data is telling us. After that, we'll look ahead and try to forecast where this thing might go next. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with the final verdict on this whole situation.
Okay, so let's start with part one and really try to get our heads around the sheer scale and speed of this stock's explosive rally. To kick things off, just look at this number. We're talking about a gain of over 375% in less than 2 months. You know, a move like this doesn't just get attention, it demands it. It makes everyone, from traders to analysts, stop and ask the same question: what in the world is going on here?
So how did this all happen? Well, back in August, the stock was just kind of simmering along, pretty quietly below 40 cents. But then, around mid-September, that simmer turned into a full-blown inferno. This wasn't some gradual climb. It was an absolute explosion, going from a period of quiet consolidation to a parabolic moonshot, peaking at $1.84. It's a classic story of a stock going from overlooked to completely overbooked in just a few weeks.
And the trading volume? Well, that tells its own crazy story. On some of these key days, the volume was just astronomical. I mean, over 221 million shares traded in a single day. So we're not just seeing the price spike here, we're seeing a massive wave of money pouring in. And that's a huge sign that some of the big players have entered the game, basically pouring gasoline on an already raging fire. But what's really driving this thing? To figure that out, we've got to pop the hood and look at the engine of this rally, the technical indicators. This is where the data really starts to talk.
First up, let's look at the moving averages. Think of these as the stock's recent price history, kind of like its shadow. At its peak of 184, the price was just soaring miles above its short-term averages. Now, when a stock flies that far above its own shadow, it's a classic textbook signal that it might be getting dangerously close to the sun.
Now, to put a number on that flying too close to the sun feeling, we turn to a really powerful tool, the Relative Strength Index, or RSI. You can think of it as a kind of hype meter for a stock. Generally, any reading over 70 suggests things are getting a little overheated.
So, where did NUAI's RSI land? A completely jaw-dropping 89.45. This isn't just in the overbought danger zone. It's deep, deep into uncharted territory. This is an exceptionally high reading that just screams caution.
Let's be really clear about what a number like this means. In the world of technical analysis, this is like a blaring fire alarm going off. It's a huge signal that the party might be winding down, and that the hangover could be pretty severe. It's telling us the stock has gone up way too far, way too fast.
And you know what? It isn't just the RSI that's flashing warning signs. Whether you look at the MACD, which tracks momentum, or the ADX, which measures trend strength, the entire dashboard is lit up like a Christmas tree. All these different gauges are pointing to the exact same conclusion. We are looking at a powerful but extremely overextended trend.
Okay, and this is where it just gets truly wild. A linear regression model, which is basically a statistical best guess of where the price should be, predicted a price of around 80 cents, but instead it hit $1.84. That's a 131% deviation. It's like the stock's GPS is just screaming, recalculating, because it has gone completely off the map, leaving its expected path in the dust.
So all of this leads to the billion-dollar question that's on everybody's mind. Where does this rocket ship go from here? Does it keep shooting for the stars, or is it about to come crashing back down to Earth? Let's see what the data suggests might happen next. All right, so these are the financial battle lines, the key levels where the bulls and the bears are going to fight it out. The support levels on the left, those are like price floors, where buyers might step in and try to stop any fall. The resistance levels on the right, those are the ceilings, where sellers are likely to show up and potentially stop the climb.
Now, to get a sense of just how much this stock can swing on any given day, we look at something called the average true range, or ATR. Just think of it as the stock's volatility meter. A higher number means bigger swings. And in NUAI's case, with an ATR over 0.22, this thing is running on a triple espresso.
So what does that mean in practical terms? Well, the analysis projects a potential daily swing from a low of about $1.61 to a high of $2.06. Now, that gives us a ballpark, right? But in a market this wild, the ball could easily fly out of the park in either direction. This is absolutely not a stock for the faint of heart.
All right, we have gathered all the evidence, we've looked at all the clues. Now it's time to put it all together, bring it all home, and get to the final verdict.
So, what's next for NUAI? Well, there are really three main ways this could play out. Scenario 1 is the continuation, where the rally just keeps on going, pushing up towards that $2 resistance level. Scenario 2 is the correction, where profit takers step in and the price pulls back to support around $1.60. Or Scenario 3, consolidation, where the stock just takes a breather and trades sideways for a bit to digest these huge gains.
But when you boil everything down, the analysis offers one final and kind of chilling conclusion that every single person watching needs to hear. The stock shows characteristics of a speculative bubble with potential for violent reversals. Wow. That is about as direct a warning as you can possibly get from a technical breakdown.
So the final takeaway here is pretty stark. NUAI is an extremely high-risk play. It is significantly overbought, the rally is on very shaky ground, and you need to approach it with extreme caution. The potential for huge gains is there, for sure, but the risk of catastrophic losses is just as real. This is a stock that requires not just courage, but a cast-iron stomach. The story of NUI is really a masterclass in the madness and momentum we see in today's markets. And it leaves us with a really critical question. In a world full of hype and hysteria, how can we use data to find the actual signal in all of that noise? That's something to think about. Thanks so much for watching this breakdown.